Becoming a doctor is a dream for many people, and for some it has become a far-fetched one. But today, the guest I have is going to shed light about how to become a doctor in the face of adversity. And this is the Dr. Tebz Show, where we're putting your health back into your hands. My guest today is a very special person to me, very dear to me. Her name is Dr. Eva Seobi. She is a qualified medical doctor who qualified from the University of Witwatersrand. She is now working in Duduza. She is a general practitioner. She's a family physician. She is a mentor. She is a community empowerment woman. She is a pastor, a mother, a wife, and she is my mom. I'm really privileged to have her join me on this Dr. Tebz episode. So welcome, Dr. Eva Seobi, to the Dr. Tebz Show.
Thank you for having me today. And it's a very special day because this is the week when I became a mother to you. Yes. So, very special thanks to the Lord for His goodness.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mama. So, I want to find out, you became a doctor in the midst of the ages of apartheid.
That's right.
And so, that's adversity beyond. Your story is an inspirational one. It's a testimony of how you journeyed to becoming a doctor, facing the adversity of not just individuals who were prejudiced, towards you for the color of your skin, but a whole entire system that had shut doors for African men and women to achieve their dreams, because it was only a select few in our community who had access to that. So can you just narrate for us, what was your journey like being an African young woman back in the day who was pursuing a career in medicine? I know it didn't just start there. So can you just tell us?
Well, thank you so much. Bringing many memories back to life. I qualified, or I passed my matric, which is grade 12. Then it was called standard 10 in 1972 at Orlando High School. And my dream has always not to become a doctor. It was not one of them. My dream was to become a pharmacist because I was fascinated by working and mixing chemicals at the laboratory. So I just dreamt of becoming a pharmacist. But that dream was not to be because of the apartheid system. I was at the University of Limpopo, together with our present president, Cyril Ramaphosa, and Dr. Frank Chikane, to mention just a few, Laibon Mabasa, Ishmael Mkabela, all these now so many men who are very influential. We were together at the Student Christian movement, which was an SCM at the time. And for some reason, I would say because of politics, we ended up finding ourselves in the political arena as a Christian movement. And that led to my being expelled from the university. I could not pursue my dream of becoming a pharmacist, so I had to become a dropout. And but I never lost hope, believing in God and knowing that God has you in His hand, and regardless of the system and its brutality at the time, I just believe that He will make a way. And God made a way for me to be admitted at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Then it was called Ongoye, and Zululand, the University of Zululand. That's when I did my BSc. It was also very difficult because, we're talking about the period between 1973, 74, 76, 78. All those were times of uprisings, when we as the young people, we just went against the system to say down and no more. We started with anti-apartheid and anti-Africans, but then it escalated to the whole system that it had to be brought down. And we did so in many ways, especially in prayer and believing in the Lord. And so when I did my third year BSc, I was one of I think we were only 2 students who were qualifying or going to qualify in our as graduates. And I had an opportunity to be presented to go a scholarship to Stellenbosch to do forestry.
Forestry, yeah.
Yeah. And then I had to pray and ask the Lord, because now this was 3rd year. Lord, what is it which you want me to be? What's your dream? And the Lord said clearly, He wants me to become a medical doctor. Yes. And then that's when I had to decide that I'm going to the medical school. So the only medical schools which were open to African students at the time was Medunsa, which was the Medical School of South Africa, a Medical University of South Africa, and Natal. And then it was called Wentworth, but it was the Natal University campus. Okay. But I was not admitted. Yeah. So then it was like everything now shut because there's no other alternative. So I decided for that year to go and teach. So I became a teacher. And it was another break, because the first break after being expelled from the University of the North, I taught as well for about a year or 2. And then now I went back to teaching after my my BSc qualification. So I taught matric, biology, and English, and it was quite fantastic. I really enjoyed it. But then one student at the beginning of my 2nd year into teaching came to me, walked up and said, "Ma'am, you said that you wanted to do medicine." I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Yeah, I brought you forms."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, to apply to do medicine as a medical doctor at University of Witwatersrand at Wits. And I said, in my heart, I said, she has no clue that Wits does not take blacks, you know, students. It's just for whites. But she insisted, and you know, in her innocence, I then took the forms and I said, well, who knows, maybe this is God's doing, because He's a God of the impossibilities. I took the forms and I applied. It was in January, you know, and I mean, to apply for medicine, you've got to apply in March, the year before, and you've got to be called for interviews. But then I just said, well, whatever. I don't know why and how she got the forms, but let me apply. I applied. And lo and behold, I was accepted. I just got a telegram to say you've been accepted to medicine. You know, this is why, as you talked about the times of adversities where doors are shut and the system stands against you, this was a time where I saw that truly, truly there is God, and He is God who is not a God of color. He is not a God who is discriminating. He is a God who loves all of us, and He is able to open doors. So the Lord opened the doors for me, and I went to Wits. That's where I did my medical training, and I was I graduated there in 1986. Yeah, when I was pregnant with your sister.
Matabo.
Yeah, and just right after I got my exam results, the following day, that's when I became a mother to her. And that's why she's called Matabo, because my mother said that she's brought us truly happiness. So I became a doctor. So that's my journey.
So now let's go a bit into what the actual journey was at birth.
Okay. Yeah.
How was it being a doctor as medical student?
Yes.
A black woman, I keep saying it, female medical student in a university.
An oppressive society.
Yeah, in a
Which
university.
discriminates against your color.
In a university that doesn't really support you.
Yes.
But is somewhat has to be seen to be proactive and transformative in some way. How was it?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting journey, but very painful. It was not easy.
Yeah.
I would put different segments to it, right? And it was the first time that the campus at Tebz opened its doors to black students. And so it was all exciting. Our being admitted at Tebz, we were almost like the first group of medical students who were traveling between Tebz campus and our homes in Soweto and other different African communities. And then it was Professor Tobias who said, no ways, can't have a medical student traveling on a taxi or train to Soweto or wherever and come back in the morning to class. He said, unheard of, and it can't happen. So he had to go and apply for us at the Home Affairs at the time. And at that Home Affairs, he had to explain. And they said, okay, they will give us a provisional permission to be admitted at Tebz campus to be accommodated at the hostels. So we were admitted. I was admitted at Jubilee Hospital, at Jubilee, what is that? Residence, yeah, women's residence, together with my friends. I think there were about 4 or 5 of us as women. And it was exciting, wonderful. Okay, and the year went on, and I think it was around about May. We had, I think I was entering the dining hall. There was a student who was with a white student who was seated there with her parents. And I had the comment as I was walking. This mother was saying, "Oh, you are drinking from the same utensils and the cups with these black students." And the girl was innocent and she simply says, yes. From that day, then there started to be buzzwords like, blacks are sharing with our children the same utensils and da. Before we knew it, Mrs. Setna called us into her office as the black girls. And she says, girls, I've got bad news for you. I just received a letter from the Department of Home Affairs, and they said that you have got to be expelled from the residence because your being admitted here was conditional. It was on condition there are no objections. But now that other white parents have objected, I have no option but to expel you out of race. That, for me, it gave me the first time to say I am black and they are white. Before then I was colorblind. I just saw ourselves, even if it was an apartheid time, but I just saw this family of liberals, the liberal Tebz campus, and I was blinded to color. But that day I started to realize I am black and they are white.
Sure.
Right? And now imagine that there were other students there who I had befriended, who were Christian, white students. I thought they would object. I thought they would stand up and fight and say, no, not these girls. And instead they didn't.
Quiet.
Yo. That I do not know what to think of it. And the only thing which kept me sane, not to say all whites are discriminating, all whites are racist. What made me not to say that was because I had this white friend, Lisa Sex, you know, and Lisa, she just stood there all the time to say, they are very, very evil, these people. How can they say that to you? And you know, and I would say, Lisa, and Lisa would say, there's nothing like that. And you know, at that time, remember, we were also doing cadavers.
Yes.
Cadavers are corpses, and we're studying anatomy. And you know, with Lisa and the other students would come and carve nicely the epidermis,
the skin,
just the skin, the top of it, carve it out. And as you remove it out from the black corpse and the white corpse, what lies underneath was exactly the same tissues, same color, same shape, nothing different.
Same organs.
Same organs. And Lisa would say, you see, Eva, what makes the difference between me and you being black, I being white, is just a 2 centimeter of skin. That's all. Otherwise, we are the same. We'll take the brain and match the brain of a white cadaver and a black cadaver, and you look at the contours. They are the same. The sizes are the same. Shape is the same. Material quality is the same. So all this of people saying that we come from apes and our brains are smaller, that is absolute nonsense. It's not true at all. So you know, these are the facts which would keep somebody sane under such a discrimination, when people become so blatantly racist and want to demean and pull you down and say you are not like us. Yeah. So that was what made me not to just put a blanket and say all whites are racist. No, it was because there was Lisa. It was because of the cadavers. And these are the things, if you may ask and say, what made us not to walk in inferiority complex. But the thing was, we saw the truth in the Bible because we interpreted the Bible for ourselves. And the Bible told us that we are just the God's image. And when God made Adam, he made Adam to be like him, and we all come from Adam, and Ham was not cursed by Noah. Noah cursed the child of Ham, who is Canaan, but we come from the Cushites, and the Cushites are not cursed. So I knew I would walk with my head held high to say that I am equal to anybody and I'm blessed of the Lord. Yes. So from that time on, one had to now live on campus knowing that you are a black man, and black men, you are on your own and you have got to stand up for yourself. Right? So that was what happened at residence.
And then did you move out? What happened? Because now they said you guys must be out.
We should be chucked out.
Yes.
As we were chucked out, Mrs. I've just forgotten her surname, who was in charge of the women's residence at Sunnyside. She stood up and said, you know what, girls, if they don't want to at Jubilee, I am opening my doors at Sunnyside Hotel. You come in and you're going to stay there, and if anybody objects, they must face me. And she was also a white lady, very courageous, bold, and we saw love. So those are some of the incidences which kept you to be normal and sober and not to be extreme and start saying white people are evil or racist. No, it was individuals, who were. But people like that lady who was in charge of Sunnyside Hotel, a residence, she was beautiful. And we stayed there, and that runs from second year right up till when I was done with my medical training.
Sure.
And if she's still alive, thank you so much
Wow.
to her, if she can listen to that. Yes.
And then what's the next phase after residence?
Well, after residence, the next experience,
Yeah.
which formulated the racist type of feeling,
Yes.
was when now as a student, because we used to do our practicals, fourth year student now, at Baragwanath Hospital, Chris Hani Hospital, and Coronation Ville Hospital, which is now called Vani Musa.
Oh, Rahima Musa.
Rahima Musa.
Rahima Musa.
Yes. And then at Charlotte Makleke, right? Now at Charlotte Makleke, then we used to call it Joburg Gen.
Yes.
Now when we go to Joburg Gen to do our rounds one morning, one lady who was a patient, a white patient, refused that, no, I can't be touched by black students.
Because she was a white person.
Because she was a white person. She refused. And you know, we're supposed to take a history, start Clark, and now when professor comes and they ask what's happening and we can't make a presentation, what's the problem? Is because the patient refused us from touching them. When Professor Tobias heard that, he said, listen, lady, if you don't want these students to touch you, then you pack your things and walk through that ward.
Sure.
I don't need
Walk
you
out
here.
the doors.
Yeah, walk out, yeah. So, you know, people like Professor Tobias, they are the ones who made our stay at Tebz at the time to be very much, I would say, tolerable. Yeah. But other students, they were also very lovely. It's not that everybody was bad. No. They were very lovely. As I said, certain individuals were racist, but on the whole, we had a good stay. And that's why today we call ourselves that we are the alumni of Tebz, and we say it from a proud heart.
And how was the experience in class?
In class?
Yes,
oh
the
yeah.
actual lectures.
Oh no, in class we had, when we started, one lecturer, physiology lecturer, I think it was Professor, I now forgotten, Michelle or something like that. But he said to us, according to statistics, it has never been heard that a black student can do better than a white student.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
And you know, when he said that, yeah, then you know, lights start glowing. And I mean, I did biochemistry in my junior degree, BSc. So I knew biochemistry when we were going to do it at second year. And I would help other students. I would help our group, teach them about those bonds, oxygen bonds and carbon dioxide and carbon and whatever and so forth. And come the test, come the exams, who gets the best marks? It's a white student.
But you taught them.
I was teaching them, helping them. They would be the ones who would be the best. So those were some of the comments which one would have to swallow and ignore. You know, I ignored all that so that I can be sober and continue with my studies without any bitterness, without any feelings of being hard and resentment and looking at people as if they are, because if at all they are racist, they're not going to make me a racist. No, because I have heard from the word of God that we are all the same. We come from Him. And so I refuse to let anybody shape my thinking when it comes to race. I see everyone being the same as me.
It's true, because that's how you brought us up.
Yes.
And just to echo what you're saying, I mean, you were at varsity 1982, 83.
Yeah.
And me, 2009, fast forward 2009, I'm in class, not understanding why my marks are the way they are. I asked my lecturer why are they like this? And she's just like, maybe because English is not my first language, English is a problem, And I'm like, but I speak English. I speak English better than Sotho. And you're stunned, you're left and questioning, but I don't understand what. And the thing is, Mama, like when they're saying it, it hits you, but you don't understand what they're saying because it's the first time I've ever had a racist comment being said to me. And it takes a while to register it, and then eventually I was like, I know that's what she meant, but she's gone by that time. And then you start seeing your marks coming through. Yes, some of them are at the honest reflection, but others you question, is this because of me and the color of my skin, or is it because of what I actually did? And so now you don't even know what you're believing on the board. And I just decided I'm not believing any of it. I just want to pass and become a doctor and come out. Whether I get the medal or not, that's not my aim anymore because of the way sometimes the system is rigged, as you're saying.
Yeah, no. That's why you have got to know yourself and have a deep conviction of your identity. And my identity happens to be in Christ, that I am the righteousness of God. And if I am the righteousness of God, nobody else is going to look down upon me. If they do, it is their problem. But as far as I'm concerned, I am just as equal to anyone and as good as anybody else. Not based on color, but based on the virtues and the grace which God has placed upon one's life. And how I see them, I also see them as people whom God has graced in their own way, and which I've got to love, embrace, and glean things out of their lives so I can become a better person.
Sure. But I must say, it's quite a sad thing that one's journey is tainted by such a thing of color and race and cultures, and because I feel that your journey should just have been you just trying to get into medicine, having friends, and not have this. My heart is somewhat sore about it.
Yeah, no, the thing is, those are all the add-ons, but it's like when you make stew, you pour chilies, sometimes it's very bitter and all that, but at the end of the day that stew becomes so nice and tasty and very well cooked, and it's delicious. So they all add up because they end up shaping your life. I understand life from a different perspective than the person who grew up in a non-discriminatory so-called society, but all that, it makes you even a better person in knowing how to serve and to appreciate the gift which is called life, and to appreciate friendships and relationships.
Sure. And I can attest to that, Mama, that you are an amazing person.
Oh,
beautiful inside and out, loving, warm, phenomenal. And I would never say that you have gone through what you went through. So I applaud you.
Amen. Thank you. I give God the honor because it's in Him that you find sanity.
Statement of the day. Since in Him you find sanity. I love that. Let me ask you now this question. So now, looking back at this, the way now the things have changed. Now there's more opportunities for African people. Medicine has changed, What is your message to young people? Because I feel that young people, because we have it so easy, we've become a bit more complacent. We don't push as hard because for some reason it's almost as if we don't have anything worth fighting for. you know. So now that you, as the generation, previous generation, fought, and now we have the liberties that we have, you know, I mean, we can decide to be lawyers, doctors. What is your message to young people to be like, but don't take this gift of freedom for granted?
Yeah, listen, every season has got its own grace. Yeah, God gave us grace during that apartheid season to go through, and He invested in our lives. And this is why we are where we are now. You know, as I'm talking about where we are, I keep on referring to our president because it's just an example of the group which we were at the point in time. And because we took it upon ourselves that we are not going to be quiet and we're not going to be complacent and we are not going to start having an attitude to say that somebody owes me something. We have got to take it upon be responsible, accountable, and know that God has placed us here on earth for a purpose, right? So now I would want to say to the young people of this day that never have that attitude of people are owing you something. Nobody owes you anything. You have got to know that you must make an account. You must make an account for your life to God, because He has placed you here on earth for a reason. And if you are not going to use the opportunities which He has given in this dispensation post-apartheid, then you are going to have to face Him, and I don't know what you're going to say, because nobody owes you anything. Never walk around thinking that somebody is going to do something for you. Everyone owes it to themselves to charter their own life, their own destiny, a legacy they must leave behind, or even pick up from where the other generation, be it your parents or be it a generation as a whole, community-wise, that they have done for you. You have got to take up that responsibility, build your life, know that there is a reason for living. You are not just breathing oxygen for fun.
Yes.
God has placed you here, and as far as my Bible tells me, it says that God has given us identity, which we find in Christ. He has given us a purpose, which He says, go and take dominion, excel, multiply, be fruitful. He wants us to be fruitful. God has given us a provision. He has provided the climate, all the conditions, physical condition which we see around ourselves. The Lord has placed all that at our disposition. To do what? To serve. To do what? To become the best we can. To do what? To worship Him at the end of the day. To see that, Lord, the best way I can worship You is to serve You with the best I can, with what You have given to me, giving it back to You as an honor. Yes, you can't just live your life as if somebody is going to charter and open up a way for you without you making an effort. The amount of effort you place is going to determine the outcomes of your life. The more effort, the outcomes of your life are going to be phenomenal. But if at all, it's a law which is set, a law of what? Sowing and reaping, you know. So we have got to live our lives knowing that every day I am sowing and daily I am reaping what I sowed yesterday. And it might not happen today, my reaping from what I sowed yesterday, but definitely reaping I will, because there's nothing which you can do in the world without sowing. So you sow nothing, you will reap nothing. You sow little, you will reap little. And it depends on the quality of seed you are sowing. Ne? So the quality of seed should be a quality which says, I want to inspire, to bring life, to encourage, and to make people feel better. After they have met me, they must not be the same again. They must say, you know, since I met you, something changed. Since I met you, the trajectory of my life, it took another angle since I met you. All right, so you've got to tell yourself that you can't just meet people and allow them to remain the same. No, have an impact. God has created us to make an impact. And what better impact can I make except by being a medical doctor? Because health is the important, I would say, a virtue which God has given to us. So as a health professional, I feel there is this sense of satisfaction, a sense of contentment at night when I go to bed to say, somebody's life has been improved one way or the other.
Sure.
Yes.
That is a mouthful. I was going to ask you, Mama, if you could speak to especially young girls.
Yeah.
You know, because we think that we are pretty, we are cute, and we want to take a shortcut. And so if I marry a guy who's rich, who's whatever, or even date a married man, we see all these things that the girls, because we want the short way out. As you're saying, we are entitled. Someone owes me something. Somehow we believe this. And we don't want to take accountability for our actions. So instead of me becoming a doctor, why don't I just date a doctor? You know, instead of me becoming this, why don't I just take from another person? So what do you say to encourage young black women? You know, to say, but you can become a doctor. You don't have to, compromise and take the easy way out.
Yeah, let me say to everyone, and then especially as you say to the young girls, there is joy which you receive out of serving. There is a special joy. There is something which happens in your soul when you have given of yourself in terms of service. You know, and if you serve people with the brain material the Lord has given you, your hands, your mouth, your eyes, put and just dive in there, whichever field of a career you would love to see yourself serving in, go for it, because at the end of the day there is so much fulfillment, such joy, there is a sense of enjoyment which you only can cherish in your inner heart. Why? Because I have given part of me to somebody in terms of helping them out, whether it was in your office doing their accounts, or you were serving being a teacher, or you were out there as an engineer. When you see this structure standing and I contributed, how do you feel? There is that sense of an excitement inside you. And that is what is called life, right? Life is not eating at this beautiful restaurant. No, life is a sense of joy, inner contentment, inner a yes inside your heart to say, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we should not derive our happiness and joy from externals, but we should derive our joy and happiness from the internal out. You know, out. I must give. I must take something out of me to give to the world, and that is what you would say is an abundant life, it's a joyful life, it's a life to celebrate. Yes, yes, it has nothing to do with driving a beautiful, expensive car or living in this enormous, huge house. It has nothing to do with that. At the end of the day is with me, in the inner me. How do I end up feeling at night and or driving from work and you say, you know what, I feel so good. Why? Because I have given of myself. And how are you going to give of yourself if at all you're not going to carve a career for yourself? You've got to study, you've got to work out, you've got to make sure that you earn something of value in your hand which you can give out to other people out there. That's what is called life.
Sure, that's what you call life. Yeah, I love that, Mama.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, like I'm afraid to ask you the last question, but I'm gonna ask you the last question because you've given so much. So there's so many like pearls you said. I just wanna pick at them, you know. But let's start at the place because many people get closed doors. You spoke about closed doors.
Yes.
How God had said to you, no, you're gonna do medicine. You apply at the university. That makes sense. And boom, lo and behold, it's shut. And you had to take a detour.
Yeah.
What do you say to young people who today are saying, you know what, my mother's not working, my father's not working, I don't know where I'm going to get fees, my fees get paid. So now, what can you say to young people who find themselves in a predicament where, or in a situation rather, where they want to do medicine or they want to pursue their dream and they find that they've got these obstacles, like, you know, not having family support or financial income that's enough to get them there. And now they're thinking, okay, how do I do this? And there are all these detours, you know, because you face this. You know, what do you say to those young people? And how can they continue having the belief that I can do this? I can actually get to my goal and complete it.
Yeah. You see, I think all of us, we've got to know that there is God. You know, we can be physical, having our bodies as people, but we are not physical. We are spiritual. There is a God who is our creator, the one who has given us the breath of life, the gift of life, the intelligence we have, and whose hand is behind everything which we see, especially beautiful things. And believing in Him is what will give you real hope. Because in every discouraging situation, in every challenge, one thing which one should never ever lose is hope. And God is the only one who gives us a living hope, not just a hope of thinking things will turn around, okay, and you just leave them to chance. No. In this regard, when you involve God, you're involving a person who is loving, who is a father. And so He says, I have got plans for you. In the Bible, in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, He says, I've got plans for you, and those plans are good. I'm not meaning to harm you, but my plans are going to give you a future and a hope. So hope is very important. That's what I love about God, that even when in our time, when things were against us, just because you are black and doors would shut, you would not be allowed to enter into very beautiful places because of your color, or even live in those areas because of your color. That was apartheid. And then What would give you hope? What is it which will say things will come okay? Here you are stuck. Your degree or your passion to pursue education, it's now shut. Your dreams are shut. There's nothing else. But now, because he said to me, you will be a medical doctor. That said, something good is going to happen. Because it is not men who promised me. It is God who understands the adversities and the difficulties and all the opposition we're facing. And so if he says, I will be a medical doctor in those circumstances, then mine was simply to trust him, to believe that it shall be so. And definitely it was so. So I want to say to young people, never live your life without trusting in God himself, because he has plans for you, and he has got the power, he has got the knowledge, he has got his angels who will open up and make a way for you, even when they say it's impossible. He's a God of impossibilities. And the Bible says in the book of Luke chapter 1, is there anything too hard for God? Nothing is impossible for him. So that was my anchor and the very essence which kept my dream alive. And in those situations, I kept on believing it shall come to pass. And indeed it has. So I give him the honor and the praise and the glory. And I would love to say to someone out there who's listening, don't ever live life without trusting in God. Yes.
It's true. You need to have that hope. And God gives us that hope.
Yes.
So now I want to know, like, practically, how did you not that you're not practical believing in God, that is very practical, the other things as well that you did that helped you to keep having hope? Because I'm sure, because you mentioned it once, that when you came home and you were expelled from Tebz, Gogo was very upset with you.
Mkhulu.
Oh, it was Mkhulu.
Yeah.
But your dad is upset with you that, why were you involved? Now look at you, what's going to happen to you? Like, how did you not, feel condemned and guilty and feel like, you know what, my life is finished, and you were able to pick yourself up? God was there 100%, and faith and belief 100%. But how are the other things? What else did you do?
That was one time when I said to God, enough is enough. I followed you, I believed in you, and look where I am now. Because I heard you, and we trusted you as young people. At that time, Cyril Ramaphosa, Chikane were in jail. I was expelled at home, no hope, no future, and my parents were telling me, look at what your belief in your God has brought you to nothing. And where are your friends? They're in prison. And where is your future? Nowhere to be seen, and we don't know what's going to happen to you. At that time, we were called dropouts. Right? So I was a dropout. And now I said to the Lord, enough is enough. I no more am interested in being a Christian. And this is a place where we are parting ways. It looks like believing in you, you are going to make me end up at a very terrible place. So I better now start picking up myself and make decisions from my own understanding and out of my own senses. No more referring to my spirituality, right?
Yes.
And I said that maybe 2-3 months or weeks went past, and the next thing was there was a Mr. Mashishi. He was a very well-known preacher of the word. He was a teacher. He loved the SCM, which was a student Christian movement at the time. Now it's called SCO. And Mr. Mashishi got to know that I am at home and I am a dropout I have no plans. So he came and said, you know what, Eva, there's an offer. We need somebody who can just come in and teach, I think it was grade 7, grade 8, which were Form 1, come and teach them English because they do not have an English teacher. It was at George Koza in Dobsonville.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, of course, I would make myself available and come and help. And also I was to do English and I think also biology.
Yeah.
And I then decided, yeah, I'll come. So I went to help them. And when I got there, then the teacher who was an SEO teacher then, I think it was Yana Mr. Mashishi, decided, no, you know what, we need to start an SEO here. And I know that you are a Christian, born again. So there is the SEO classroom.
Yeah.
You take the student, at the time we call them students, not learners, but they are the learners, take them through and have an SEO. Yo! Now I could not tell him that no.
You and God are no longer friends.
Me and God, we were parted ways. I said, okay, you know. And what else would I do? I had to go back, start reading my Bible, preparing to go and encourage young students about the knowledge of Christ and who Jesus is, get born again and get the whole thing up and running. So that's how God brought me in. He literally sent somebody to go and fetch me. So he got hold of me and I was stuck. And I had to be reconciled because now I am supposed to be the SEO coordinator, a teacher on campus. So there I was. So that's how I got restored back to my love for the Lord, and since then it has never been anything else except just praising him and worshiping him earnestly from the bottom of my heart. And I think what brought about even that serious restoration was when I asked him, because it was the period between when I was expelled from the University of the North, where I was doing pharmacy, and now there was that space where I did not know what next. So when my brother encouraged me to apply at the University of Zululand, I said to myself, Lord, if you are God, you will make me to be accepted at this campus. Much as I'm known to be an activist in the political arena, and they might not even accept me because of that. But if you are God, you will make it. And the Lord did, you know. So it was like God was showing me that, listen, when the door closed at the University of the North, it doesn't mean that I did not have a plan. I have a plan. And even if you can be labeled as a political activist, a dropout from university, the one who has been involved in the uprisings on campus and so forth and so on, I still have a plan and I can make a way. So the first thing is God made a way for me to go to university when I was kind of blacklisted. But I got accepted. How? I don't know. All what I can say, it was God. The next thing, I get admitted at Tebz Medical School, you know, without having had an interview. In January, applying in January and being accepted in January, that was also another miracle. And I saw the hand of God even at that point. Okay, so now these are the events which I would say they were outside my control, but God was in charge, and He's the one who orchestrated the situations and circumstances to keep me in the fold of being a believer, regardless of those adverse situations where I felt God has let me down. But then he brought me also in a situation where he said, I haven't let you down. I have a plan. And his plan was not for me to be a pharmacist, but to become a medical doctor.
Okay. So from what you're saying, what I hear is that number one, yes, God led you. God orchestrated a lot of things, in your life to bring about these miracles.
Yes.
Number two, God used relationships. You
Yes.
had relationships because, for example, that student who gave you the paper, Mr. Mashishi who came through, your brother giving you the advice. So having relationships that are divine and important,
Yes.
And the third thing that I hear from your story that I think young people should pick up is the fact that you made a choice and decisions. The decisions you made not to give up and to keep believing and to keep hoping in the face of a closed door, like having that hope and not giving up.
Yes.
I think those three things really stand out to me from your journey, to say this is how you overcome and finally reach your destination.
Yes, it's true. Relationships are very important. They're key. And that's why it is said that if you've got to choose your friends well, because if the friends you keep are the friends who are going to project your future as to where you're going and who you are. And also there are those divinely orchestrated relationships which you have not initiated, but God himself does. And one has got to cherish those, identify them and nurture them, because those are your destiny keepers, destiny helpers, destiny shapers. And they will come, small little voices, people whom you might not even look up to as even mentors, but you might bump into their lives and just be nice, be a person who is going to embrace people as God brings them into your life, because you have no clue who has the key to open which door, which will be locked, unless if they do open that for you. Yeah, so relationships are key. Yes, as you have said, my very brother in the house, he has a friend, the friends whom we had around ourselves to encourage and to keep on running your own race. But what you said, choices also are important, because I might have chosen to have the friends whom we had together at the University of the North. But when the enemy struck and were scattered, I now was on my own and I had to make a choice. Whether am I now going to change and try and go to this other university, or am I going to be stuck at home and go and look for a job, or am I going to skip the country? Because that was one open route at the time for young people who have been expelled from school, politically labeled. The only way out was for you to leave the country in an illegal way and go and be a cadre, maybe for ANC somewhere else. And there was that option, and I was faced with it. I was even invited to come along, but at that point I had to make another choice to say no. The God I serve, if he is God, he will make a way within the very system, and I believe that he will do so. And because I believed like that, God did make a way for me. Otherwise, I would have left the country. Maybe I would have qualified elsewhere. But I thank God the way things turned out, because it was at medical school that I met your father.
Yes.
And now here you are.
Yeah, I wouldn't be here. Yeah, truly, there's that verse that says, time and chance happens to them all,
Yes.
And so, yeah, you saw that opportunity and you took it. What are your closing thoughts after we've said all of this? What are your closing thoughts? about your own personal journey that you would like to leave with the viewers back home?
Yeah, you should always be the one who determines your identity. You should be the one who determines. Never allow situations, circumstances, people, Satan even, whoever, to describe you, to give you your identity. You know, you should not be saying, when people ask you, who are you? Don't say I'm a doctor. No. They're not saying, what are you? You know,
Good
when
one.
people say, what are you? Then I am a doctor. But who are you? Yeah, you must be saying that I am a child of God. I am precious. I am a very capable young person. I am a giver. I am a believer in good things which God gives to me, so I can be a conduit of those good things to the world. I am the one who is going to shape the future of other people. That's who I am. Okay? Not that I'm a doctor. No. I am a world shaper. I am a people shaper. I desire to be a game changer in situations and bring a sense of meaning into other people's lives. Give them that sense of meaning. That's who I am. So define yourself. Have a sense of I belong. You know, as I'm seated here, I know I belong to God. I belong to the family of God. I belong into this family I was born in. But I end up being a believer in the one who is not sin. I think also that we should always know that the world which we do not see is the one which actually is more powerful in the world we see. What we see has been created from what is not seen. So, meaning that if I've got to be very powerful, I must be connected to the unseen world. And the unseen world, the safe person to believe into is Christ himself. Because he told us, I am the way. I'm the way, I'm the way, I'm the truth. I am the life. No man can come to the Father except through me. So he is the safest way, well defined, clearly taught, and he revealed it to us when he died for us on the cross of Calvary. That was a statement which says, I truly, truly am committed to make you good, to be the best you can be. And I'm laying down my life to show that you are truly my friend and I am your friend. And if you trust me, I am going to give you all the victory you deserve. So that's my parting shot to say there is Christ whom we've got to believe in and trust and know he's there. And remember, the unseen world is more powerful, and it is the one which is actually impacting on our natural world. So what you see is not at all permanent until the unseen affects it.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me on this episode.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you to all the viewers at home. I'm so glad. It was such a joy just to be around this conversation table with Dr. Tebz.
In your
God
kitchen.
bless you. Yes, in my kitchen.
Thank you for having me in your kitchen. Yeah, looking forward to having you in another episode.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right.
And thank you to you viewers for joining us on this episode and watching. And so if you'd like to get more information about what we're discussing, please do leave your comments below. And we will also be sharing Dr. Eva Seobi's details in the description box below if you'd like to get a hold of her. And yeah, until next time, please do remember to take care of yourselves, each other, and remember your health is in your hands. God bless.